So guys, basically the video that I'm gonna the video that I'm gonna cover tonight is the governor is basically shutting down the restaurants and bars tomorrow. And also there's talk that's been thrown around, and I think sometimes this is strategically put out on social media, where the mayor of Champaign has been, people have posted these I don't know if it's posts from online articles or what it is, but they're posting these articles that have been written by the Washington Post and Examiner and stuff like that, that talk about the mayor of Champaign banning the purchase of liquor and ammo during the time of the coronavirus fight. So Illinois is starting to pop up on the radar quite often. And then there's this new article out where it's by WGN, and the governor has stated that as of tomorrow, for 2 weeks at least, they are going to shut down restaurants and bars here in Illinois, to where you cannot go to them to be served due to, Ange said something about a massive amount of people being out for the St. Patty's Day. Even though they suggested against that, people still aren't listening. So I'm going to screen share the article, and then we're going to take a peek at it real quick. So I'm going to pull it up in a separate screen while I'm talking to you guys. And shuts down restaurants. Now I'll screen share with you guys so you guys can see what's going on, and I'm going to kind of shift the camera around a little bit so I get it out of my face. So I take my cam and I put it on my tripod. Share screen, Chrome tab, share. We'll go here. So here we are. I'm going to shift the camera a little bit. And coronavirus in Illinois. Pritzker closes bars, restaurants for dining. All bars, restaurants in Illinois closed the doors for 2 weeks due to the COVID-19 concerns. California, Ohio, Illinois, Massachusetts closed bars and restaurants in efforts to slow. Let's look at this one here. This is by USA Today. California, Ohio, Illinois, Massachusetts closed bars and restaurants in efforts to slow coronavirus. The governors in 4 states mandated the closings of bars, restaurants, and wineries in an effort to slow the spread of the coronavirus, which has infected more than 3,200 Americans and killed 62. In Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine said bars and restaurants can stay open for carryout and delivery, but what we can't have is people congregating and seated. I'm aware that this will impact many good workers. DeWine wrote on Twitter, "I can't tell you how sorry I am, but we will work to mitigate the suffering. It is our goal for everyone to get through this. Every day we delay, more people will die." In California, Governor Gavin Newsom ordered all bars, wineries, brew pubs, and nightclubs to close, and asked that those over 65 self-isolate. Across the country, counties in some states have taken similar precautions, all in an effort to stop people from congregating and unknowingly passing along the virus. Illinois also shut down bars and restaurants to dine-in customers through March 30th, a day after thousands gathered in downtown to celebrate St. Patty's Day. You asked tons of questions about the coronavirus. We're answering them. There are no easy decisions left to make as we address the unprecedented crisis, Governor J.B. Pritzker said Sunday, according to the media reports. As your governor, I can't allow the gravity of these decisions from taking the measures that the science and the experts will keep people safe. It's kind of funny. Pritzker said he made the decision after so many state residents ignored the advice of the Centers of Disease Control to social distance and self-isolate, and instead went out Friday and Saturday anyway. The time for persuasion and public appeal is over, he said. The time for action is here. In Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker ordered all bars and restaurants close Saturday, starting Tuesday, March 17th, and remain closed for a month, describing the coronavirus as incredibly contagious at a Sunday news conference. Baker told reporters, if we take decisive steps now and everyone plays their part by following the best medical guidance, we can slow down the spread. In Tennessee, Nashville Mayor John Cooper asked all bars to close on Lower Broadway, the city's epicenter of nightlife, and has severely restricted restaurant capacity. This is a developing story and will be updated. So that is one case that we're looking at right now, or one article setup, I should say. The WGN TV and the Chicago Tribune, these are local news. This was just 28 minutes ago, and this was 3 hours ago. I'm going to look at the one from 28 minutes ago because it's been out a little, or it's been brewing for a little while. Go away. Coronavirus in Illinois. Pritzker closes all bars, restaurants for dining in as state case rise to 93. So we have 93 cases in this state. All bars will be closed beginning at close of business Monday through March 30th. So tomorrow night, after everybody closes the doors, cannot open until March 30th again. They will remain open for delivery, drive-through, and curbside pickup orders, the governor said. See, this is why I wanted to read this order, because if you look in the original one from like 3 hours ago, it didn't have any of this. You can go through the drive-through. So they just don't want you congregating in public areas and stuff with other people, so it leaves you more susceptible to sickness. So beginning at close of business Monday through March 30th, they will remain open for delivery, drive-through, and curbside pickup orders, the governor said. The Illinois Department of Public Health also announced 29 new cases of coronavirus disease across. So coronavirus disease, wow. They just keep adding more words to these headings over and over again. It was just coronavirus, and then it was COVID-19, and now it's now they're adding disease to it, and they just keep bolding the letters out more and more and more in these articles to make it bigger and more dramatic. Maybe it's to make people more worried, more scared. I don't exactly know what the situation is, why they keep changing the name and adding things to it. I know a lot of it's blown far too out of proportion, but this is crazy. 5 additional counties are now reporting cases: Champaign, Clinton, Sangamon, Whiteside, Winnebago counties. And that's funny because about 3 or 4 months ago is when I left Winnebago County. Other locations with cases include Chicago and Cook, Cumberland, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, St. Clair, and Woodford counties. So I was living in Winnebago. And if you guys remember, back at the beginning of January, some of you have been following me, there for a few days, I had these like really bad fever-like symptoms to the point where I never had anything like that before. I'd never had anything that that would affect me like that in my life. My fever had jumped up to like 103.7. I went to the emergency room immediately. I was just throwing up for no reason. And then all of a sudden, after like 12 to 14 hours, it was gone. I wasn't sick anymore. And somebody had brought that up on Facebook. How do we know that we haven't already had it? There's like so many people that are sick between January and February, and now we're just getting this information out now. And it really does mock flu-like symptoms, but just worse. And this was substantially worse than any kind of flu that I had. And it came quick and it was over quick. And I kept getting this cough-like deal back then. And they say you can get rid of it really fast. Like you can have it forever, get really, really, really sick. Hopefully you don't die in the process. There's no treatment for it. And then all of a sudden you're gone. I mean, you just don't have any symptoms anymore and it's done. And that's exactly what happened. I got tested. They said you have the flu. I was like, okay, this was a couple months ago. And then I was completely fine after that. They drugged me up with, some IVs. They hydrated me, and what else? They gave me Tylenol 500s, and they just said, stay hydrated. And that's what I did. And it was gone. Like I came in very, very slowly, hung around for a little bit, a couple days, and then it was gone. I've had the flu for a week before to where it really took me down slowly, and it never really hit me that hard. But a couple months ago, it was like 2 days, really freaking bad, took me down for a little while, and then it was gone. So some of us have to actually sit back and wonder that we're sick back in January and February because it's been out before that. There were cases that were being spread before that. If we didn't have it then and unknowingly spread it to other people, they just never even got symptoms or never even got sick. These are the things like you don't know. They're saying they don't really know how all this came about. Some people are saying it's bats that spread it. Some people are saying it's pigs in the meat market and the Wuhan meat market where water and stuff all over the floor. And then when you look at the videos from Wuhan, today somebody shared a video from Wuhan, and I was like, I was watching dogs get slaughtered and chopped in half, and pigs get chopped in half, and different types of birds and bats and everything else, and they were cooking them right there in the market, and they're just all packed in real tight and next to each other, and it looks extremely dirty. And I was like, I can probably see how some of this came about from just the Wuhan like market video that I seen earlier, but there wasn't like water all over the floor, and it's not like the people were being extremely dirty or anything. It's just things that are really, really abnormal that I've never seen before. And then when you're exposed to how other countries do things and how uncleanly they are, I mean, just out in the open, just packed with hundreds and hundreds of people all next to each other while they're slaughtering animals live right there and cooking them and plucking them and burning the hair off their bodies, the dogs and cats and stuff. And I was like, man, this is freaking crazy. I'd never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, just all different types of animals of all different kinds. And I could barely make it through 10, 15 minutes of the video, and I had to get off of it. I just couldn't continue watching. So when I was watching that video about the slaughter market on the streets in Wuhan, I was like, man, I could see if this is where it came from, that this is it. But they're saying it's a kennel cough type thing. And then some people are saying it's from bats. Some people are saying it's from pigs. Some people are saying it's because Wuhan was the first 5G rollout across the entire living quarters of Wuhan. They were the first actual place where it was tested, and they released the entire 5G spectrum across the living area there. And I was watching a doctor explain how so much radiation in the air can actually mess with the cells at a cellular level and cause them to come off kilter, and the water molecules and stuff like that to start to separate. And when there's like a really bad imbalance in cells because of so much radiation, there's little foreign bodies that actually start to jet out of the cell, and then you could possibly start to breathe that stuff and spread it to other people, touch stuff and things like that. So he was saying it's kind of ironic how the time frame all happened with the 5G stuff at the same time the virus started to spread. So some people are looking at this from so many different angles right now. It's unreal. We don't know what to believe. A lot of people are saying that it's a government orchestrated thing. There's tons of different theories going around right now, and nobody knows exactly what it is. Even didn't somebody just repeat on Facebook not too long ago, even President Trump, when he was addressing the national the national alert about this virus, that he even made some kind of comment in his speech that somebody somewhere knows exactly what this is, because this is not something that just pops up out of nowhere. So I don't know. I kind of believe that there's more to it than what we're being told, but this is where we're at, and we got to deal with it the best way that we can. The stores are being still sold out of toilet paper and paper towels and everything else. People are still going nuts. What do you think the restaurants are going to be like tonight and tomorrow before they shut the doors down, close the business? You put out this message like this and you give people the heads up. Well, the people that are stuck in the house and don't want to be stuck in the house for the next couple of weeks are probably going to all flood the restaurants and stuff now, trying to go do something because they know the restaurants are going to get shut down. And now you've just taken, just a general night where you could just let the people, the managers of the restaurant and stuff know, send a message out to them in general saying, hey, all of the businesses here, we're sorry, we're not going to release this out on social media because it's going to cause more of a problem. We're letting you know the bars and restaurants are going to be shut down for the next 2 weeks as of close of business Monday, and it won't cause such a panic and a stress. But instead, they put it all over social media and the news for people to freak out and stress out, and then all of a sudden you got more people in a public setting, and you're causing more of a problem rather than just letting the restaurant owners and stuff put something up on their doors when people show up and say, hey, unfortunately, we're closed right now due to the coronavirus. People would look at that as more them as an individual choice closing the doors and not so much the government telling them what to do. It would save a lot of stress. It would stop your inflammation levels from being aggravated over the situation from going up. And it would basically allow the people tonight and tomorrow to go travel to the restaurant like they normally would and not be overpacked and put them in a worse situation, I should say. And then the people that do show up at the restaurants and bars can actually see, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, right now, it's just an individual decision on each place. Maybe they've all come together. Maybe this was a government type mandate. It would be easier on them finding out very slowly than finding out via social media and the news. So all vegans have seized the opportunity to blame all carnivores for the virus. This is what happens when you consume animal products. And vegans have seized the opportunity to blame all carnivores. Exactly. It's a little nutty how all this is going on and how this is all being handled. Here I am, just some regular Joe Schmo, and the way I would do things would make a lot more sense and make people panic a lot less when it comes to this stuff. I would have put the ration on the toilet paper and paper towels ahead of time so this nonsense wasn't going on. I would have tried to control the situation a little bit better at a store level and say, hey, look, this is what's going on in other countries. This is what's going to end up happening here. And they could have got ahead of this a long time ago and controlled a lot of this chaos, but they chose not to. And letting the media get involved like they have and not holding them accountable for a lot of the bad information that they spread is another really, really, really big problem. When you let your media control the information that's being put out, even the director of the CDC said half the stuff they're saying, we don't even know where it came from. We don't even have data to back up the stuff that's being said by certain media outputs or outlets. We should have never let them get control of the information being put out to the people. This should have been put out by medical professionals that are in control of this stuff only. It should have not been allowed to be spread on Facebook or Twitter or anything else. If those trigger words were used, it should have been immediately banned or not let them talk about it. And it should have come from the medical source only. But they didn't do that. They dropped the ball on a lot of standpoints. And now all of a sudden they released that they're going to close the restaurants and bars on social media. And it's going to make it more difficult for people that are having to deal with this, because now you're going to pack the restaurants for the next 2 days. And you're going to create a bigger problem rather than individually reaching out to them and saying, hey, look, we have to shut down for the next 2 weeks. Just make sure close a business that you're not going to have, nothing will be open after that, and let people find out for themselves, and they'll know. They'll show up and they'll leave, they'll go home, or they'll show up and they'll go somewhere else and then they'll go home. Yeah, they've wasted a little bit of fuel, but at least they're not 2 days in a row pissed off, all cramming in a dining area, trying to get served because they know they're about to go 2 weeks without their luxury of eating at their favorite restaurant or something. So anyhow, that's the gist of what's going on right now. And let's see here, I'm going to show you the Illinois, Champaign, Illinois campaign that was put up that I think is partially false. I'm not sure. I haven't really dug into it, like I said, yet. But Champaign, Illinois mayor bans ammo and liquor. I'll screen share this with you. I've seen a few articles that say it's going to happen. I've seen a few articles actually say that it's not going to happen. That's just people. I'll let you guys see for yourself, so you can decipher what you think is actually going to happen. You're welcome, Ange. So we're screen share now, I hope. Okay, we're screen share. Let me go back to it. Illinois mayor signs executive order granting power. Okay. I think it's false from what I read, but I want to dig more into it. No thanks. Illinois mayor signs executive order granting power to ban sale of guns and alcohol while addressing coronavirus. The mayor of Champaign, Illinois gave herself the power to ban the sale of guns and alcohol after declaring a citywide emergency to address the coronavirus. Mayor Deborah Finan signed the executive order on Thursday declaring a state of emergency for the city. The executive order, which is in line with the municipal code, comes with extraordinary powers for the mayor to enact over a short period of time as the city combats the spread of the coronavirus. Among the powers Finan gained, the signing of the executive order was the power to. Did you hear just now? I was reading to them that new order that Fitzer put out.
Fitzer, yeah. About the restaurants.
The restaurants and the bars tomorrow. You can only go through drive-through, no public dining. And then I'm reading this here, which I'm trying to figure out if it's true or not. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's Illinois mayor signs executive order granting power to ban sale of guns and alcohol while addressing the coronavirus down in Champaign, because now they have new cases of the coronavirus in Champaign. We're up to like 93 cases as of today.
Yeah, I saw that some stores were stopping the sale of ammo.
Yeah. So I'm trying to dig into it now because some articles say that's not true. They just gave themselves the power to do it. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But according to like the Washington Examiner, because you got to be careful where you get your information from. And the Examiner has been one of those like online articles people say are fake, but they're clearly saying that they've already done it. So I don't know. Anyway, where are you going? Going out? Be careful.
Not to a bar. Just going over for that and drink it. Still hurting.
Be careful. Don't catch the corona. Among the powers Finan gained after signing the executive order was the power to ban the sale of guns, ammunition, alcohol, and gasoline. Finan could also cut the access to individuals' gas, water, and electricity. This seems like it's so fake, because how could you do that? Governor Finan could also cut off the access to individuals' gas, water, or electricity. The city has the ability to take possession of private property or order the temporary closing of bars or liquor stores. Jeff Hamilton, the city's manager, told WAND the executive order allows the city to be flexible to properly respond to emergency needs of our community. None of the options will necessarily be implemented, but are available in order to protect the welfare and safety of our community if needed. The Champaign City Council held a meeting to address the concerns about the powers granted to Finan on Friday. Deputy Mayor Tom Bruno noted that each ordinance considered under the executive order would be ratified by the council. The city also released statements claiming that the council and the mayor would only take steps necessary to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the city. The city will keep public's best interest in mind as we continue to work alongside public health officials and countywide leaders. The council said in a statement, "We understand this is a challenging time, but working collaboratively as a community is the best approach to combating this virus." So, I mean, that's one article that we had posted, but there's one of these in here somewhere. If you look, it says that's not even true. That's not what happened at all. So I guess it's kind of up in the air. I'm looking for like a real good. Okay, so here, Fox News. I'm looking for more of a mainstream news, regardless of what it is. I'm looking for more of like a WGN, Fox News, something like that, and then one of these like hokey, like these hokey online information sites. So again, Illinois City clarifies that it hasn't banned firearm sales amid coronavirus emergency declaration. So this is another one, like a mainstream media source, and I'm not even saying they're 100% accurate, because I've found stuff from all the media sources that are just blown way out of proportion. But an Illinois City is telling residents that it isn't banning firearm sales or planning to seize property amid an uproar over an emergency declaration, highlighting the mayor's purported power to do so during the coronavirus outbreak. The statement is in response to several false claims circulating online. A city press release read on Friday, "To be clear, there is currently no firearm ban and no intent to seize property or close business. Additionally, there are no restrictions on the sale of alcohol or gas or the ability to enter or leave Champaign." The city council passed an ordinance that, according to the city, reiterated emergency powers that were already granted in its code. Okay, so here's the special clarifying code right here, the city of Champaign. This is the actual I guess the code from them, city code provisions. The statement is in response to several false claims circulating online. To be clear, there is currently no firearm ban, no intent to seize property or close business. Additionally, there are no restrictions on the sale of alcohol, gas, or the ability to enter or leave Champaign. This morning, the City Council approved anticipatory provisions in preparedness to address the COVID-19 virus in our community. This is the first time the city has implemented an emergency order using reasonable anticipation as opposed to post response to an emergency. The ordinance passed this morning by the City Council authorized the following emergency powers: holding council meetings electronically if needed, with public notice and public input if practical. Board and commission meetings may be canceled. Special event permits and/or city licenses may be suspended. The city manager may authorize purchases necessary to handle the emergency. Personal policies related to leave time and other conditions may be modified temporarily. Temporary agreements with the city's bargaining units may be implemented as needed in conjunction with union leadership. City faculties may be temporarily closed to the public in order to protect health of residents and employees. Let's click on it and read the rest. Ordinance violation payment and processing timelines may be extended. Payment deadlines or funds owed to the city may be extended. Mayor may issue other temporary orders allowed by the city code and found necessary to handle emergency. The mayor may temporarily delegate powers to an emergency interim successor if it's necessary to do so due to absence or incapability of the mayor. The mayor has the authority to exercise other emergency powers under the Champaign Municipal Code, Section 12-39, which have been in existence since 2006. However, and under the known circumstances, no further measures are anticipated. So I can see how that would be more true than the other article we read, because the other article was blowing things way out of proportion. It was making it seem like they were about to come into your house and take your guns and everything else, and it's stupid. So that is where we're at with this whole entire situation. Let's look and see what we got in the comment section here. MedCram is an excellent channel for information on the virus. No BS, just facts. Let's look at this. Call me Scout. Says, I just started watching. I used to live in Illinois. I wonder when the other states will follow suit. There are, earlier in this I was reading, there are like 4 or 5 other states that have already followed suit. So I think, what was it? I don't remember the other states. Ohio, was it California or something like that? I don't really remember. But there are 4 or 5 other states, including many other that they mentioned, that are already doing this. Here in Ontario, all public places are closed down. Libraries, schools, museums. Washington is getting killed by the virus. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard Washington is really getting hammered right now. Howdy, Rich. What did Tom say? We had 1 acknowledged case in my county and 7 in our entire state. However, you got to know, for every case acknowledged, there are at least 50 more. Good luck, Illinois. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat, as always. So, guys, this is where we're at right now. Is regardless of the situation, you're going to have to play the game. Bottom line, you're going to have to do what they want you to do, unless you have a place to bug out. You're not going to run out to the woods and stuff like that. And if you don't have a home out in the woods or someplace that you can run off to, a relative or something like that, you're playing by the rules. And if you do play by the rules, just do it as calmly and as respectfully as possible. You know, if they want to shut down public places, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You want to rebel and be all upset and ticked off about it and make yourself even more upset, where your inflammation markers rise and your immune system and stuff starts to shut down because of how rowdy you like to get and how stressed you put your body, then you're just going to make yourself worse. But unfortunately, you're playing by the game, and that is what it is. So my next step after this whole entire situation's over is I will be looking for a cheap piece of property out in the middle of nowhere, and I will be looking for either no home or a decent sized home on that property that is fairly inexpensive, and I will have a place to go. After all this and seeing how much control the world has, the leadership has over the people, and what they can and can't make them do, and how they let this whole thing blow out of proportion, after seeing how poorly this whole entire situation was handled, I will be trying to find a place somewhere else away from everybody. So that's kind of the situation I am right now. I was talking to a guy last night, and he said, no, I'm headed out towards DeKalb, Illinois, out in the middle of nowhere. I got a house out in the woods, and me and my family will be out there for like the next month or two. We got enough food and fuel and everything out there. The kids are going to be off school anyway. He said, I work from home anyhow, and I'll run my business and stuff from there, and that's just how it'll be. Unfortunately, for people that have to go into work every single day and work labor-intensive jobs, you can't just go bug out. You got to work your job. You've got to be accountable. You've got to make money and stuff, unless you've already got a bunch of money put away. That's going to be my next step, is trying to work on those things to where I get a bunch of money put away. I have a safe location I can go if I need to, because this is just a glimpse of the roughness of what could happen. I just got my driver's license and everything updated, so I will be going and getting a Glock, stocking up on some ammo and stuff like that. I'm going to start looking for a small place, because what happens when all these people that don't have food, they don't have toilet paper, their funding for Social Security got cut just a few weeks ago by the government, don't have the money to buy the supplies and stuff that other people do. People aren't just going to go to them and give up their stuff if this ever really got to the point where it got blown out of proportion. I don't think it will. I think in a couple of weeks we'll be right back to normal, and most of this will be forgotten about. And 20 years from now, millennials like me, I'm 34, but I still fit in that millennial category. 20 years from now, I'll be looking at my grandkids or something, telling them I survived the great coronavirus plague of 2020. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists that like to go shove my opinion and stuff down other people's throat. I like to kind of sit back and just, I'll brush across it sometimes of what I think. But for the most part, I let people make their decision based on their life and what they see themselves. I'm not the type of person to do that. I'm just more of a, let's look at the facts. Let's see what's going on right now. Let's try to adjust best on what we see, and then move on from there. So this has actually let me see in a prepper standpoint that I probably should be a little bit more like a prepper. I should have some more supplies put away in case something like this does happen. I should have a place that I can go if I really need to, if shit hits the fan and I need to get out. Bug out is what they call it. So this is a big wake-up call for me, and that's kind of where I'm going to be adjusting from here. Maybe part of this channel will be how to go from a city boy, well, city country boy, half my life in the city, half my life in the country, to a full-time prepper. But we'll see. Comment section. Whiteside County, and that's Whiteside County is one of the counties that were spoke about. They got hit with the numerous outbreaks of the coronavirus. From Brazil, danger coronavirus 300%. I think it says percent. So this basically is it, guys. That's all I wanted to talk to you about. From here on out, I'm going to start looking more along the lines of, in case something like this happens again, where I would like to be, and I'm going to try to financially become even more stable than I am now. And I have a few vehicles. I have my Lincoln Town Car, pretty pristine, runs very, very well, so I don't have to worry about my vehicle breaking down because it's in mint condition. I have a 2001 Dodge Ram It's an old truck that I'd like to put a camper on the back of it. I'd like to put one of those travel light pop-up campers in the back of it and have a roving home that I could jump in, and I could just go jump in the truck and go, and not have to worry about, what I would essentially like to do is I'd like to set up a vehicle with my home on it so I could set it up to get out and not have like so much a big piece of property. I'd like to have a small piece of property I can run off to in the woods, but take that truck with me to that facility. So anyway, just some thoughts on that. They're on the top of my mind right now, and some things that I need to start looking at and being more prepared. I was definitely one that was thinking, at least over the last year and a half, I would like to have something like that, just in an emergency situation. You live close? Where are you from? I'm in Lombard right now. I'm in Lombard, Illinois. So we're in some pretty rough times right now. There's a lot of people that believe everything that comes across social media, and there's a lot of people that are really sketchy about the whole entire situation, and they kind of question everything. And I think the people that question everything are handling it a little bit better than the people that completely believe everything that's posted on social media, which is completely ridiculous. That's it. That's it for tonight's viewing. I appreciate you guys. Oh yeah, you're like 15 minutes from me, maybe not even 15 minutes. I jump on 355, hit 90, and as soon as I hit 90, just within a few miles or something like that, I'm already at Elk Grove. So you're really close, actually. So that's where we're at with this whole entire situation. My parents, I haven't spoke to my parents, honestly. My dad got upset about a conversation that me and him had, and he wanted to continually to try to give me advice about things. And this was a long time ago, and I told my father, I said, look, Dad, I'm 34 years old. I make almost $40 an hour. I'm doing pretty good for myself. Your son's doing fairly well. I have a good job. I have a good life. I've got this. I'm going to make a little bit of a career change. They're offering me more money. Well, my dad wanted to give me advice. Don't do it. Stay in the union. Stay in this. Stay in that. And I was like, Dad, I'm paying $400 a month for medical stuff that I don't even use. There's 103 employees that work for the facility, so I'm just a number. They really don't care too much about me. They promised me school and everything else, but some of these guys have been here 15, 20 years and haven't been to one single program in a school to further their education. So I said, it's not working out here. It's not very promising. So basically what I told them, I was like, I got this. I don't really need the advice right now. That you're telling somebody that's already grown beyond, much beyond the point where they need career advice. I know what I want to do with my life. I've known for years. That's what I've been pursuing and doing. That's why I've done all the schooling and stuff that I've done. So just please hold back on the advice right now. I've got this. And I made my career change, and sure enough, went from $34 an hour to $39.81 an hour. Love my job. It's been outstanding so far. No issues, no problems. Love my boss. Love the company I work for. And that really upset him. And I think the fact that I was successful in doing what I did and he was wrong about the move, he got really upset and decided that he wanted to stop talking to me. So my father he probably hasn't talked to me in about 6 or 7 months. He won't say anything to me. I mean, I call my mom and talk to her sometimes, but even her, she forgets to pick up the phone and call me. She doesn't answer back and stuff like that because my dad's so bent out of shape about the entire situation right now. My father, he's really sore about it. And he doesn't want to move on past that. So I said, I'm at that point in my life right now where I love my mother and my father, but I won't be a stepping stone. I'm not going to have somebody as an adult, even if he is my father, kind of walk all over me like that. I'll still be there loving him and caring for him. And when he wants me, I'll be there. But outside of that, I'm not going to dwell on it and pick up the phone and try to make those calls and stuff all the time and force somebody to talk to you that doesn't want to talk to you. When he's ready to wake up, I'll be there and I'll love him just like I did before, if not better. But I got to give him his space. I got to let him do what he's got to do and get over what he's got to get over. But from what I know, he's okay. He's just at home. his diabetes kind of getting the best of him and stuff like that, and he's stuck at home. Can't really go nowhere without my mother, and it is what it is. They got a nice home in Naperville. They're trying to sell their home, and they want to move to, well, where do they want to move to? Elgin. They want to move to Elgin, where it's a little cheaper, but there's some nice areas with cheaper homes. That's where they want to go. So I wait to hear the news. I wait to hear from him one day, but my father has tried, and he loves it. My father has done keto and been completely successful, but he'll sabotage himself and he'll go right back. My mother, she's lost like 35, 40 pounds doing it. She loves it. So I didn't want to bring it up too much, Jenny, because I know I don't want to bring up the drama in my personal life on social media anymore, but that's kind of is where it is. I was just straight with my father as a man. And, I admit that I said some things and I used a few analogies that I shouldn't have used, because he was kind of being sarcastic to me about some things. And I said, Dad, you're trying to tell me about my career field that you don't know anything about. You don't understand the life of a technician at a dealership. They move around a lot. What ends up happening is you start at the bottom, $27, $28 an hour, and then another dealership has an opening, and then you're like, hey, if you can pay me $30 an hour, I'd love to come over. I'm already Ford certified and everything else. And they'll say, you know what, we really need technicians right now. Come on, I'll pay you $30 an hour. And then, you work there for a year or two, and then all of a sudden another dealership is really looking for a technician really bad, and you might find an opening at a union shop, and you're like, oh man, this is $33 an hour, and you go talk to that new dealership, and they're like, oh yeah, we're ready to hire you. And you move up and you move up and you move up and you move up. Well, now I'm at the top of my scale. I'm at the top of what a dealership will pay you, and I don't have to worry about moving up anymore. I'm at $39.81 an hour, and that's just at 40 hours. And if I can turn 45, that goes up like $42, $43 an hour. If I could turn 50, that goes up to almost $47, $48, somewhere in there. Those aren't exact numbers, but now I'm at that, and I'm consistently doing at least 35 hours plus work a week. That's a pretty good paycheck. A lot of that is taxed and goes back to Illinois, but that's how my career field works. You will not see a guy in an automotive career for a professional dealership, not the mom and pop shops, but more of the dealership life. They move around, and that's what they do. Sometimes the service managers will go from one dealership to the next, but because the guys really like working for that service manager, they'll follow. They'll say, hey, when you have an opening, let me know. I'll come over there and I'll work for you, because they're really loyal to that person. That's just how it works. And I tried to explain it to my father, and he wasn't listening, because he bases everything off that old school mentality from back in the day, where you got to try to work a job for 25, 30 years to really be successful. Well, I'm successful now. I don't have to worry about working that job for 30 years, because if somebody's not paying me more or making it worth more of my time for me to switch from my job to the next one now, which would be really hard because I'm at the top of my scale, I hit that early on. A lot of guys, it takes them 15, 20 years to get that. Well, I'm already there. And I tried to explain that to him, and he's comparing everything to what he thinks you should do in life. And he got really sore about the situation because I wouldn't listen to him. And I said, Dad, you don't understand my career field. You don't understand how it operates. You don't understand the movement and the pay scale. So I just really don't want you to give me advice about that. And just be my father. Just be my family, be my father, but don't give me financial and job advice. It's just not working for me. I'm doing really good for myself right now, and I really don't need it. He didn't like that. So, and because he didn't like that, he hasn't been talking to me. And it is what it is. I don't want this to be so much about my personal life right now. And I apologize for those of you that do watch this that don't find this appealing at all. I didn't really want that to be part of this segment, but here, this is what it is, guys. This is the times that we're in right now. It's really frustrating. The state of Illinois is starting to shut down, as well as other states as well. And a lot of people are blowing a lot of this out of proportion when they can handle themselves and control themselves a little bit better. This is where we're at. I brought this to you to kind of make you aware of something that you may not be aware of. And this is Vista Bay seltzers, hard seltzer from from Walmart. 1 gram of carb. Not Walmart, Aldi. I'm going to get off here. That's it. That's all we got. I'm going to end the broadcast. I didn't want to be on here for 45 minutes. But I appreciate every one of you guys being here and asking questions. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. Subscribe. I cover some good stuff. I've changed the channel from specifically being about keto all the time. So let's just talk about life events. And if you look at the bottom of my name where it says Full Send, or at the bottom of the screen where it says Full Send, I've changed the name to Full Send because what Full Send means is it just means give it all you got. And there's already somebody with the send part that has an S, so I had to change it to a C. And then TKM at the end is the keto mechanic. But Full Send, just give it all you got. Send it. In the shop, you might have, or let's just drag race analogy. There's a guy about to go down a track. He's on a line for $10,000, and it's the last race. His car is giving him some problems, but he thinks he can make it. What do? Give up that $10,000 and forfeit to the other guy? Or do you send it? You give it all it has and you hope it doesn't break. Full Send. Give it all it's got. And that's kind of what I changed the name of the channel to, a Full Send. And some people in the automotive industry get it. Some people in life get it. But that's the explanation of the name for those of you that don't know. Okay, guys. Have a good night. Have a safe weekend. Try not to be part of the craziness too much. Some of you are a little crazy like me. Maybe you kind of like a little bit of it. But anyhow, be well. Be blessed.